The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 662. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on the show today. She's a hand lettering artist and also an entrepreneur, and I'm really excited to have her on and share her story with us today on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Lauren Hom. Lauren, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Absolutely. Hi. Thanks for having me. Yeah, my name is Lauren Hom. I am a ex-advertising art director turned, hand lettering artist. Yeah, I'm basically someone who thought that I had to, go down a conventional job path in order to have job security and to be happy. And I ended up kind of thwarting that path just by a natural chain of events. And now I run my own business and do art for a living. And yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Lauren, what's your cultural background?
So my cultural background, my last name is Hom, so it's Chinese, but I'm actually half Japanese too. So half Chinese, half Japanese. But I was born here in the States in Los Angeles.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And what'd be your favorite self-confidence quote?
It's so hard to choose, but I think my favorite self-confidence quote that has resonated with me and stuck with me throughout my career is something that Brené Brown said about treating yourself and speaking to yourself like your own best friend. And so the kind of grace that we give to our best friends and the support that we give them, we rarely turn around and give that same support to ourselves. And that was a really eye-opening moment for me when I heard that. And so now every day I try to treat myself like I was talking to my own best friend and give myself that same support.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think that's something we all go through, right? We become our own worst enemy, not realizing if we're just a little bit kinder to ourselves and treat ourselves like we would treat our best friend, anything's possible, right? We can do so much more. So
it's so true. And that little stuff, I used to think didn't really matter, how you talk to yourself and, the conversations you have in your own head, no one else can hear them. So it's not really that important. But yeah, that attitude that we bring every day really does affect how we feel on the outside. And, whether it's when I'm in a negative pattern of thoughts or feeling imposter syndrome, I can talk to myself like my best friend, or on the flip side too, trying to celebrate my wins and own my successes the same way I would if it was my best friend accomplishing those goals or doing those things.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
I think I define self-confidence as feeling aligned with the work you're doing and comfortable in your own skin and just pretty darn satisfied with your life and accepting yourself as you are too. And I know the journey of loving yourself is a long one and a tough one, but I think that self-confidence is, more of a mentality and more of a feeling and can be cultivated, which I think is something that was a light bulb moment for me too, is that I thought some people were born self-confident and other people weren't. But as I built my self-confidence, I realized it's just like a muscle, like anything else that you have to keep working on over time. And it does get easier.
Thanks for sharing that. I totally agree. We all feel like we're never confident, but if we work on it every single day, that's when confidence will come. It sometimes may take time, but it's really worth it in the end. So thanks for sharing that great definition. And Lauren, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
I have always been pretty confident. My dad was one of those very supportive parents where he told my brother and I that we could do anything and be anything we want. But I definitely, just existing in the world, you kind of learn belief patterns and, bad habits that kind of knock your confidence down. For me, I think before I really stepped into the self-confidence that I have now, I trusted the opinion of others more than I trusted my own intuition. So I think biggest example of that would be going down a career path because it was safe and it was secure and it was something that my parents encouraged me to do. And it came from a good place that they wanted me to have a full-time job and job security and go to school. And so I went through the motions and then I got the job and I just didn't trust my own intuition that I was unhappy at the job. And I let that drag on for, 8 months or so until I finally said, you know what, I am willing to take a chance on myself because I'm so unhappy. And I think that taking that risk of leaving my full-time job to take a bet on myself was really the pivotal moment for me to jumping into this kind of new level of self-confidence, because like we were talking about with the last question, you build it slowly, and sometimes you jump in, like make a big jump, sometimes they're little jumps, but once you do it, and it's scary, it's always going to be scary, but you realize that it's not that bad and you can do it and you're going to survive and you're way more resourceful than you think you are. That validation kind of springboards you into the next act of, bravery or taking a risk or building that self-confidence.
Thanks for sharing that. And I love how you mentioned, you were willing to take a chance or bet on yourself, because a lot of us are scared to do that, right? Especially as Asian women, we've always been programmed to be told what to do, right? Like you mentioned, going down the job security route. I mean, our parents want the best for us, but sometimes we know deep inside it's not for us. We have this like feeling, but we just don't trust it. Like you mentioned, we don't trust our intuition because we feel like if we do that, it's the wrong decision, right? And sometimes taking a chance or betting on yourself is not always an easy route, right? There's always going to be challenges. There's going to be ups and downs. You're always going to have days where you feel like quitting, but in the end, it's all worth it, right? I mean, it's not always a pretty road to travel, but it's always the journey that's worth going after. And, because of you willing to take a chance on yourself or betting on yourself, what's your life been like now?
So yeah, since I took that chance on myself, I just jumped into quitting my job. I started freelancing as a lettering artist and illustrator. And the beautiful thing that happened for me was, because my parents raised me with like strong work ethic and, a good head on my shoulders, once I was on my own, I realized that being 100%, responsible and accountable for what happened in my life and business was really motivating. And so I, went into I just went into my most productive mode ever. And it was easier too, because I was working on stuff that I actually liked. And I think that was something that was a block for me for a long time, where we're taught that if you like what you do and it comes naturally to you, then it's not a real job, because real work has to be hard and grueling, and there needs to be this like big sacrifice. And like you were saying, there is sacrifice and there will be rough parts, but that's just the natural part of the journey. And work doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to feel soul-sucking. It can be something that you enjoy. So once I realized that and I just leaned into it, yeah, it's been a slow journey. I mean, maybe, I guess, slow depending on who you ask, or fast depending on who you ask. But over the last 5 years, I've just been building my business and sharing my art. And that's one thing too, for anyone who is creative who's listening. I think that sharing your work online as an artist or a writer or whatever your craft is an act of self-confidence and taking a risk and getting better at sharing your work. It's baby steps. I think it's really vulnerable to put your art out there and share it with the world and talk about it, but it can be a really good confidence booster and be really, really rewarding. So now I am very open on the internet. I, teach and I advise other women. I run my own business. And if anything, the thing that keeps me going is just feeling very grateful that I was able to take that risk and things worked out, and I can hopefully serve as inspiration for other women to do the same, because it's a lot easier to do something when there are other people, especially people who look like you, who have paved that same road. It makes it a lot less scary to venture out on your own. I'm really grateful for all the other women that I saw come before me, like taking the risk on themselves, and I hope that I can do that for the next generation.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I think, what you're doing is really helping other women out there, especially as a woman, especially as an Asian woman. It's really rare for Asian women to go out there and do their own thing, because it's like, for them, it's not the proper way, it's not the way that they've been taught. But like you mentioned, representation is really huge and important. And the more, Asian women we see out there doing their own thing, the more we can realize like we can do it as well. What's possible for one person is possible for us. So thanks for sharing that. And Lauren, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey to self-confidence. What'd be that one tip you would give to her?
I think if I could give one tip, it would be to just be kinder to yourself and to take small steps. I think that being aware of when you're or falling into a negative pattern of thought, knowing that you are always in the driver's seat, and it's okay to feel down sometimes, and we're always going to feel imposter syndrome. We're always going to feel like, we can't do it. But knowing that is just part of the journey. I get so many questions now from artists in particular who talk about, how do you deal with imposter syndrome? How do I build my confidence? And for me, my assistant put it really brilliantly where self-confidence is something, not self-confidence. Let me start over. Imposter syndrome and lack of confidence, those are things that are just going to be there no matter what. And if we accept them as normal and part of the journey, we can just kind of see them as passengers, like on this journey to self-confidence, rather than feeling even worse or guilty that they're showing up in our lives. And I think that just talking to yourself kindly, surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, I think that's one very actionable thing that any of us can do. I know it's hard because you have relationships with people that maybe have spanned a long time, but I have found it very crucial to my own and my friends' journey to self-confidence to be very mindful about the group of people you surround yourself with and pay attention to who's lifting you up and who, you feel energized after talking with and inspired by, and try to surround yourself with more of those people. And even if you don't live in an area where you can meet up with those people, or you and your friends don't geographically live near each other, I think finding online communities or listening to podcasts like this, just bringing in content and people and ideas into your world that are going to facilitate that journey rather than hinder it.
Thanks for sharing those great tips. And, if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, or check out some of your artwork, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Absolutely. So you can pretty much find me everywhere online as Hom Sweet Hom. I got really lucky with my last name, so it's just HOM Sweet HOM. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and that's also my website URL. So you can find blog posts and artwork and just little bits from my creative life there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. Great name for your website. Just wanted to add that. So thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Lauren, you can also head on over to thetowofselfconfidence.com and search for Lauren's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really just want to thank Lauren today for taking the time to share her story and journey with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Lauren.
Thank you. It was really fun to be here.
Not a problem. It was really great having you on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit our website at thetowofselfconfidence.com to check out cool resources, blog articles, show recaps, and so much more. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.